Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Diana Romanov and I am a certified family law specialist practicing family law in the Bay Area, California. Today I have a series of two videos. One is going to be difficult clients and another one is difficult lawyers, meaning lawyers who are making mistakes. They're not difficult, but it happens. So, top 10 difficult type of clients. And this video is perhaps designed for lawyers who are starting to practice law and curious about their experience, what they're experiencing, and also what I have experienced and how I dealt with it. And all this is based on my personal experience, of course. So, difficult type of client number one. Not telling the lawyer what they expect and then blame them for not satisfying that expectation. It happens all the time in a relationship. I expect you to be on time. Obviously, if we have a meeting, a client who, for example, blames a lawyer for something they never communicated. For example, I would like to get divorced. Everything is amicable. I just needed the paperwork. And then later on you find out, well, the spouse disappeared and it's not that I'm amicable, so we need to do a publication. And also that client doesn't want to split things 50-50. Court gets involved and says, look, we need to split things 50-50. And the client turns around and says, well, but I hired you to split everything 50-50. Not 50-50, but 80-20. So that has not been communicated to me as a lawyer. If it was, I would have said, I won't be able to help you because it's against California law. And there are lots of examples. For example, we have a hearing and then a client, the other side is not showing up or is there but on Zoom but is hiding and has a different phone number, and then my client is getting mad that over the situation. Well, why didn't you? I mean, there are lots of irrational blaming points, which this is borderline is, but the first one is not setting expectations with your lawyer. Next point, retainer should last for 3 months. So for example, if a client hires a lawyer and pays $5,000 retainer, $10,000 retainer, whatever the retainer amount is, it is a job for a lawyer to list, and I have an attachment to my retainer agreement to say, look, this retainer is not an estimate of your case. It's based on hourly, and you'll get invoices every week, and it's minimum charge of 0.2, 12-minute tact. And clients always try, they're like, literally, tell me exactly how much the divorce is going to cost. It's impossible. And so they even ask, no, please give me an estimate. And I tell them, well, from 5,000 to 150,000 or 300,000. What about that estimate? And eventually in my average client base, I settled at $25,000 number average. A case can be 10, can be 50, but average is 25. And so then they come back, they hire you for one thing, and then they come back and say, well, do the discovery, do request for order for attorney's fees and spousal support. And then they come back and say, well, but you spent $5,000. I told you this is only for this entire case I had, which I told the client, it's only if you tell me only uncontested things, right? So if we do discovery and motions, that's not going to be in $5,000 range. And then those clients are unhappy and they go and post bad reviews and they're disappointed. So there is a two-way street from the lawyer side, setting expectations right, but also even if you do, difficult clients will always blame the lawyer for their problems. Third type of client is controlling clients, meaning they want to control everything. They tell you what to file, when to file, how to talk to opposing counsel, when and what to say, and they literally just hired a lawyer to do what they want, and it doesn't work. Why? Well, because a lawyer has a style. For example, my style is to not threaten another lawyer ever. As much as possible, I keep it very professional. Although it feels good to do it, I don't. A client who constantly is, did you do this? Did you do that? Just constantly trying to control the lawyer and the timeline. And what I do to prevent that, I tell all my clients my boundary. So if you give me a project, I will turn it around within 1 week. If it's urgent, type in the subject line urgent. And I have clients who always do that. They say urgent. And then I will turn it around as soon as I can, which approximately 24 to 48 hours. But in my retainer agreement, and the clients know because they read it, hopefully before they sign, and I remind them, is if it's urgent, they pay 1.5 of my hourly rate. So if my hourly rate is $1,000, then it's $1,500 instead of $1,000. If they want me to work at night after 5 for whatever reason, it's double rate. Same for the weekend. And clients who are asking me to do things against the law. For example, if their date of separation is X date, and then they change their mind and want to be another date, but they don't have facts supporting it, or they tell me something that I cannot put them on the stand about anymore because I know they would be not truthful under penalty of perjury. It's going to be against my ethical duty to the court to be kinder. Those clients have to go unless they accept the fact that they cannot testify about this particular fact, or they cannot tell me what to do. And we talk about how to respond to opposing counsel, and we discuss. And I know some clients are more sensitive than others, and so what I do, I send them a draft email that I'm planning to send to opposing side, and they review, and we fine tune, and we speak. So those clients are fine, but sometimes it's a borderline. So you got to be careful. Fourth type, you're the best lawyer. So the fourth type is the type of client who always puts a lawyer on a pedestal, but it is a manipulation tactic, and I fell for it. So I had a client who was falsely accused of molestation, and that client was begging and crying and doing whatever it takes to say whatever my ears need to hear at that moment, that I'm the best lawyer and only I am the only one who believes him. And I believed him, and I ended up in a financially bad situation because I let him. I fell for that emotion of pity. It's a really bad emotion for a lawyer to have pity. Wanting to help at any price, not setting boundaries, not putting lien on the property, not securing invoices. So at the end, when I finished that case and I had a lot of money and the invoice that I felt, we had some payment plan, he filed bankruptcy. So I will never forget this case as a learning lesson that do not fall for emotion, meaning any emotion that starts to show up in me as a lawyer, it becomes no longer a professional relationship. It becomes more parent-child type of relationship, or how should I put it? It's imbalanced. And then it turns around. So it's a victim and villain, and then it turns around and the client becomes villain and I am the victim. So emotions are very tricky. So I learn to stay away, although I still fall for some clients, and I notice that, and I'm noticing it quicker, but it happens. And those clients are the ones who get these little favors, call you on the weekend and here I have a question, don't show up to a meeting or late. So those butt lickers who are just put you on a pedestal, be careful. Fifth type, vexatious litigant type. Those are the clients who like to file things for the heck of getting at the other side. And usually it's never a good idea to let it happen because they don't hear your advice. So when I tell them, I do not advise that you file this motion, I want to file this motion. And usually they come from many lawyers because they don't like to hear what the lawyers are telling them and they change them. And so when I realize I'm in that situation, I know exactly that if I file it and get the result I know I'm going to get, they're going to blame me because they don't hear the advice before. They're sort of blind. And so I write them emails. I don't file things. I just don't. And that results sometimes in letting go of the client. But I know the price is too high. Just filing a frivolous motion, B, dealing with unhappy client, and C, dealing with sanctions against the client as well. Sixth type, this is an interesting type. Those are the clients who make you doubt yourself. And usually they set foundation for later not to pay the bill. So I had a situation where a client would tell me, well, I'm consulting other lawyers. You are not the only one. I'm listening to recommendation. When I come back and say, listen, if that's what you think is the right thing to do, why don't we invite that lawyer who's advising you to the table and discuss the pro and cons and the consequences of both? And that client pulls back. It's like, oh, no. It's only a friend and never mind. And that comes I didn't notice it for the longest time until someone else in my office noticed, oh gosh, this is actually borderline abusive, where a client seems to be nice in person and then in emails or even on the phone call sometimes, well, I don't know if you're the right type, if you know this judge, or if you're too young, or if you're too beautiful, and then they don't want to pay, although the work is performed. So that's why I asked for a higher retainer up front. Those clients, I heard that these clients show up in every business where they first get the work and then they start accusing the personal service who provided the personal service that it wasn't good enough, I shouldn't be paying it. So how to spot these clients? I think at the beginning when we have an initial consultation, if I smell any doubt, for example, well, how much experience do you have? But they don't say it in a genuine type of voice, but in doubtful kind of voice. I tell them to check my website, check the reviews, and call me when they're certain that they want to hire me, because I do not like to work with clients who are in the process of deciding, and I would rather have someone who knows exactly what they want. And so what happened is I had a client like that. That client had to go to second, third attorney, came back and said, okay, now I'm ready. So I would like to have a client who is fully in or fully out, nothing in between. Seventh type, disappear and blame the lawyer. So A client who is not in charge of the process, doesn't respond to emails, and then shows up and blames the lawyer for not having done the work fast enough. Let's say Christmas holiday, January holiday, New Year's, and then months later calls up and says, why has nothing has been done? Although that client didn't respond to emails 5 times. So how to deal with these type of clients? Well, easy, because I remind them about the emails. I like to have written record. So if we talk on the phone and we set up expectation, what has to be done, sort of to-do list, then I send the client follow-up to our call. This is your to-do, by when and how, and this is my to-do. And then when it turns around, then they have that email. And I get it. Clients are getting very emotional in their decision, and they don't want to deal with it, and they want to shift the liability and responsibility to someone else and blame someone else. I get that. Human emotion, that's fine. But it doesn't feel good. So keeping written record, that's the way to go. Flirty client. Another subtle stay away situation. Not stay away from the client necessarily, but call it out and keep it professional. It's a manipulation tactic. Clients will flirt to get something in, to get personal so that they can get favors, such as working for more hours, less pay, doing favors that I otherwise wouldn't do. I had a client who would invite me to restaurants, to dinners and vacations, to visit their dacha. Or I think it's okay to be friends with clients after a presentation has finished. And 99.9% of the cases, the friendship is not existent after a presentation finished. And that's how I know that is manipulation, right? So those clients, what I do, I tell them, look, I appreciate your invitation. I appreciate your thoughtfulness. However, until our representation is complete, let's keep it professional. The 9th type, emotional type. Emotional type, well, a lot of clients who are going through divorce are emotional. I'm not talking about those. I love my clients who are emotional. It's about clients who are emotional to the point where they don't hear you, meaning they yell, they scream, they demand, they're rude, ruthless. Those type of clients who think because they pay, you need to do things for them right away. With those clients, as with clients who I talked about above, as soon as I fall for an emotion, and it's so hard not to do, I lose. So with those clients, even if I need to hang up and say, I'm going to hang up unless you change your voice, well, I call them out. So first, the client who yells, I tell, when you yell, I don't hear any words you're saying. So either you need to tell me more peacefully what you're saying so I can hear you, or I'm going to hang up now. And usually they shift. If they don't, I hang up. As a lawyer, I'm as a human being and a lawyer, I don't have to experience and stand abuse. I had a situation in a mediation where we almost settled. There was one issue that we needed to sort out, and the mediator said, how about we join rooms to hash this issue out? And in 2 occasions, I had to hang up. So opposing counsel would allow herself to yell at me in a way that I felt disrespectful. And I didn't say anything. 1, 2, 3, hang up. That's it. Of course, the mediator apologized and didn't put us in the same room. So, what's the saying? We allow people to treat us the way we treat ourselves. So maybe that doesn't apply. But what I mean, I don't allow that to happen. So emotional type, what else? There's other types, emotional types who are emotional, they cry, and then the same sentence, I want my money back, I didn't get what I wanted. And that's another type of manipulation, to suck you in into emotion. Although you explain that this is an outcome that's possible, a client is emotional or starts to blame a lawyer for everything that happened, although it's not true. And the last type, the 10th type, is the type of client who is do it yourself, and then when I didn't, I will blame my lawyer. So usually those clients who are trying to save money, they start a case and then year or two passes and they are not able to settle. And then when they start settling, they can't. So the lawyer needs to get involved. And when I settle, and then they blame for whatever, little things. So those type of clients, how I handle them, I remind them. Actually, I write a list of things that went in their favor, and the list that California law. So this is California law, and this is what you got, which is better than California law. And usually they sober up in their brain and become more appreciative. But again, it's hard to have control over this. As a lawyer, all you can do is to be your best. And there is no guarantee to get a certain result other than things that I'm in charge of. So I feel like there are more types that I didn't mention. And if you're watching this video and you feel that there are other types that I should include, comment in the section down below. And for all of you who are difficult clients, don't get mad. It's all good. I heard a saying that in criminal law, worst people are at the best behavior, and in family law, the best people are at the worst behavior. So not to say that I wasn't a difficult client myself. I actually was a very difficult client when I was going through divorce to my lawyer. But that's another story for another video. So yeah, I will wait for you we'll see you in my next video or in the next consultation. Bye.